York's very own muscle building coaches, Anthony Bevilacqua and Pete Kacharian, proudly present to you New York Muscle Radio.
What's up, guys? New York Muscle Radio, episode number 148, The Psychology of Lifting. So you're embarking on a fitness journey, and your goal is to build a better physique and to get stronger. You have the diet down packed, but what about the lifting? Most people think you just go into the gym and work out, but there's way more that goes into it. In today's episode, the coaches, Anthony Bevilacqua and Pete Kacharian, will explain to you how to control the mental aspect of lifting. If you're a new listener, welcome to the best muscle building fitness network on the planet. Big Pete, what's up, baby? How are you?
What's up, man? The psychology series is starting to kick off, and I think we got some good reviews on the last one. We got a lot of requests to do it on lifting now, too. So it's a little change of pace from us because we're used to giving out more practical, hands-on, physique-enhancing information and strength information. But now we're talking psychology in the mind. So it's a little transition, but definitely something that me and you both know a lot about since we've been doing this long enough.
Yeah, we became psychologists, I guess.
Yeah, so we're like everybody else on the internet now.
yeah, Tony Robbins. We're going to start posting up motivational quotes along with lifting.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the only other thing, too. Like, I'm not going that deep into it where I'm going to be a philosophicer, you know?
A philosophicer? Is that actually a word?
No, it's philosopher, but everybody who speaks there are philosophicers, if you know what I mean. Bullshit.
No, I have no idea.
Doesn't make any sense is what I'm
bullshit.
saying.
Oh,
it's
okay,
bullshit,
okay.
yeah.
I didn't get it. That kind of went a little over my head there.
I came up with it on the spot, so it probably went over everybody's head.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I never understood why some people do that. I really, lately, man, I'm really, really beginning to hate social media.
Oh, man, you ain't
like
kidding.
more and more every day. Like, we've been doing some research on social media lately, and I don't know, man. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's pretty crazy. Like, the more and more I learn, the more and more I'm like, damn, everybody's full of shit.
Yeah, well, everybody's on the money-making train now with social media, and the key is if you guys haven't figured this out for yourselves, we're going to let you in on a little bit of what's going on with social media. A lot of these money-making guys and inspirational and motivational guys, which you'll see them everywhere, they're not actually at the level that they're portraying themselves to be. They're portraying them in that light so that you pay them money so that they get to that level. So it's like Anthony said, it's all smoke and mirrors. So there's way too many motivational speakers out there who haven't done anything as far as what they're trying to sell you on. So all these entrepreneurs and successful people out there, they're just trying to get to that level, and they're trying to sucker you into giving them money to elevate them to that level. So that's really how it is now.
It was actually funny. Before we recorded, I was on social media. I was on Facebook. And someone, I'll just keep them remain nameless, but they were like, oh, my page had 55,000 likes. So like they were like congratulating themselves. They had 55,000 likes on their page. It's like, So I clicked the page, and now I kind of know what to look for. On every post, dude, I'm not even kidding. So 55,000 likes this person had on their page. Look, I'm talking like Trump into the thing. 55. I'm using the hand motion. 55,000 likes on this guy's page, whatever. And you look through it. 3 likes on a post, no comments. Like, that doesn't equate, you know?
No, it doesn't. I mean, what is this, Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, on every social media platform now, you could buy followers, you could buy subscribers, you could buy likes, you could buy comments. You can buy everything. And again, it's all just an illusion so that, especially, I don't know what this guy was trying to market himself for. But whatever it is, generally...
It was fitness related.
Yeah, I figured. Fitness related is probably the second worst compared to the... entrepreneur or money-making industry. But yeah, they just want to be seen as somebody who's important that everybody knows. But if you have 55,000 likes and, you know, me and you basically, we have to know everybody in the fitness industry now, not necessarily personally, but who they are. So if somebody pops up with 100,000 likes and I have no idea who this person is, you should be pretty sure that it's all bullshit to begin with. And there's so many of them. I can't tell you how many I've seen, and I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah, well, what about there's other famous, I don't want to say it. I'm not calling anyone out on here, but there's a lot of people that most of these guys and most of our listeners on this podcast have definitely heard of and seen. All fake followers, man. It's pretty sad.
Yeah. We've even actually had a few people on here that I wouldn't say that they're totally built on fake followers, but they're totally built on fake followers.
Yeah.
They were, and
smoke and mirrors.
And neither none of them are on this podcast right now, guys.
Yeah, exactly. So again, guys, don't believe everything you see on social media. And I think there's gonna be a big trend shifting away from social media at some point in the next coming years. It's just my prediction because, like I said, this is becoming smoke and mirrors. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize it slowly but surely.
Yeah, like I told you this. I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast, but our industry, especially the fitness industry now with social media, has made it almost derogatory to like use the term online coach or prep coach or fitness expert, only because so many people who are totally unqualified to do so are calling themselves that. So it's almost like when you hear that term, it's like, oh, so that means you just post pictures on Instagram and you say that you offer meal plans.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? They don't understand that there's people like me and you who do what we do, where we actually coach people. You know, we don't just sell you a meal plan that we sold to 500 other people that day.
Yeah, exactly. It's again, whatever. I think our listeners at this point know that we're all no fluff, but there's a lot of fluff out there, guys. If you just take a second to like do a little bit of research and find out, you'll see exactly what we're talking about. It's really, really sad. Actually, I don't
want to beat a dead horse, but like, there's plenty of guys out there that are considered credible. But they really, like, I'm not saying these.
Just say it, man. Just say it. They don't know shit.
They don't know shit, and they don't even lift. Like, when I say they don't even lift, like, we're talking about guys that are, like, experts on programming, experts on nutrition, and they don't practice this stuff themselves, which I've yet to honestly see very, very few people who are experts in our field that practice what they preach. You know, like me and Anthony, we do this every single day. I'm not trying to stroke our egos with this or anything like that, or, pat each other's own backs. But, that's why we have issues with these people, because it's like, I hate when people claim that they do certain things that we know they don't, when it's stuff that we actually do,
Yeah, or they lie and take anabolics and say they don't. That's the other half.
Well, I didn't even bother to say that because everybody knows that one.
Yeah, that's the other half. It's just so funny, because we've worked so hard day in and day out. And you said it, not to pat our own backs, but we do, and I believe we go above and beyond, and we're dedicated to what we do. And then all of a sudden, someone comes along and they like just make sudden progress, out of nowhere. Yeah. And it's like, what are they doing? Like when I was younger, I used to be like, well, what are they doing? I got to follow them because they must be doing something right.
Right.
Well, it's not really like that.
Because people want natural. It's a natural human instinct. People want the quick fixes. That's where all the glamour is. That's where the flashiness is, and you tend to naturally go towards that, or at least you're curious about that. So when you do see that, you're like, wow, I'm curious what this person did. Maybe I can learn something from them. But really, nobody wants to hear the truth that, okay, it's going to take time. You can get to where you want to get, but you're going to have to go about it in a very long-term manner. It's not going to be a quick fix. And, we're going to tell you how to get there. We're going to teach you how to get there. And I think that's why especially the last podcast we did was so well received, is because not many people can talk about that stuff the way we did, because not that many people could talk about the psychology of dieting, having done it for, years and years and years and years. Most of these guys are just like, oh, I did one contest, or I've been, bodybuilding for a year. Here's my meal plan. Here's my workout routine. Nobody can really talk about this unless they do it. And the same thing too, we're going to get into that with lifting now today. And we're going to, talk about this from the experience of, like, for me, I could speak from, I started doing this when I'm 14 years old. I'm 27. There hasn't been longer than a week of time in between where I've taken time off from working out. And, that's a lot of time and experience. I could talk to you about my experiences with mindset and, how I help other people, some of our clients, with that stuff as well. And it's just, that's something that just comes with experience and living the lifestyle. There's no way you can fake that. So you'll know pretty quick when people start talking about this type of stuff, if they're really knowledgeable and experienced, or if it's all just smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, the other thing too, and we're done after this. I don't want to talk about this anymore, but Dick, I just have to mention it. Going back to the whole smoke and mirrors thing, everybody fucking regurgitates the same information.
Oh yeah.
That I cannot stand. No one thinks for themselves.
So bad, yeah.
No one thinks for themselves.
It's true. But 10 minutes in, I guess we could end the rant, right?
Yeah. Sorry, guys. That was a long, I guess, overdue shot at everybody who knows that they're faking it to make. Everyone's trying to fake it to make it, you know?
I hate that shit, man. It's like, put in the work and then, then start helping other people.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you do kind of have to fake it a little bit till you make it, especially in the beginning, in order to fool yourself almost. But then once you get past a certain point, you don't have to do that anymore. I guess people never get past that certain point.
Yeah. Well, I guess some people never actually make it, and they're just continuing to fake it.
Yeah. What about all those people that? I don't want to
yeah. I thought we ended this.
I was just gonna say, what about those people that rent the cars and rent the houses and shit to to make videos?
Oh, that's the best, man.
We should do that, man.
Rappers do that all the time. Like, they don't own half their jewelry. They rent their jewelry to go to an event. You know what I mean? They rent the car to go to an event. They don't own half the shit. Some of them do, but it's all smoke and mirrors. You know?
Oh man, Ty Lopez owns all those cars.
Yeah. Of course, and he didn't also run a scam dating site way before he got famous.
Oh, were you on the dating site?
I wasn't on the dating site, but I'm sure some people listening to this might have been.
You might have been. You weren't?
No.
You ever use a dating site, man?
I used Plenty of Fish, and I used Tinder.
And
Tinder's not a dating site; that's an app.
Yeah, Tinder's more for the one night stands, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's what it was designed for, right?
One of my clients was telling me about this app called The League. Apparently, you have to wait like a month before you can get accepted, but it's like high caliber people on there. I don't know. I think I might have told you about this before.
You mentioned it, yeah.
So
I never paid. I never paid for anything.
You don't have to pay. I don't know if you have to pay for it. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. But The League, that's what it's called.
I don't know. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of dating sites or apps, to be honest with you.
There's got to be money in that, though.
Oh, I'm sure. That's why I'm saying. That's why Ty Lopez was running a dating website scam. He's a smart guy. He makes a lot of money. He knew there was money in dating.
Yeah, whatever. All right. Let's move on, man, to the quote of the day. So you actually have today's quote.
Yes, so let me bring this up. We're going to, again, play a video quote so you guys can listen to it and hear it right from the horse's mouth, because we might, take away, it might be lost in translation. So do you want me to say what quote it is first, or you want me to just play it?
I'll just play it.
All right.
The separation of talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts for people who are trying to excel, who have dreams, that want to do things. Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft. And, for me, I feel like I have a relationship with the audience. They agree that they're going to go in droves, and
All right, what happened?
I cut it off a little short because that was extra. So, I mean, the quote I wanted to really play, which is the beginning part of that.
I want to know what he says.
You want to hear the rest of it?
Yeah, how long is the whole
No, because the message I wanted to get across, he already said. So.
All right.
Because the message I wanted to get across was he's basically saying the separation between talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts. Talents you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours of beating on your craft. So
what are you beating on?
Your craft.
Oh, okay.
In your case,
your shaft.
In your case, you might be, but
I thought you said your shaft.
No, not hours and hours and hours.
Minutes?
That's too much.
Seconds.
Yeah. If you're doing it for like hours, and guys, if you're doing it for hours and hours and hours, like, you got to take it easy a little.
Did you ever see the Family Guy episode when, or even the skit when Quagmire finds porn, and he comes outside after like 4 days and one of his arms is jacked? You ever saw that? Oh my god, it's fucking funny.
But anyway, so. That's a really good message, because that was Will Smith, by the way, guys, if you couldn't figure that out. But
I love him, man. I want to meet him in person. I really do. Him and The Rock, I want to meet.
Yeah. Two really, really inspirational guys, actually. But that message is really good because a lot of people, it's kind of like a cop-out if they don't feel talented, And you've heard that other quote before that, what is it? Hard work beats talent when talent isn't working hard. So basically what that means is anybody who is naturally talented, meaning that they're great at whatever they do. Let's say we're talking fitness. Let's say somebody who's naturally gifted genetically. They're naturally talented to be a physique athlete, or they're naturally strong. They're naturally talented to be a really strong powerlifter. Like they might have bench pressed 400 pounds the first time they touched the bar, or whatever it is. Those people obviously have an edge. But you know what? there's two components to being successful. There's talent and then there's skill. So some people who are naturally talented do not have, the work ethic to develop their skill. Like Anthony's a good example of this too, because I've never met somebody personally, and again, I'm not just patting him on the back because he's my co-host, but I've never met somebody personally who's so dedicated to just developing his skill, hours and hours and hours of, beating on your craft. So his craft is powerlifting. He spends time studying it. He spends time working on it. He spends time thinking about it, and then he executes over and over and over again. He might not necessarily be the most talented powerlifter I know, but he's definitely one of the most relentless when it comes to developing his skill, and his last powerlifting meet he won wasn't necessarily because he was the most naturally talented. No, I'd have to attribute that to him being, the most willing to develop his skill. So that just goes to show you, and the quote basically means that anything that you are trying to become the best in or be your best in, you have to look at it in two lights. Okay, talent and skill. If you don't have talent, well, you know what? You can develop your skill as long as you're willing to put in the work. And if you are talented and you're willing to, work on your craft, then you can bet you're probably going to be one of the best you have that you can be.
Man, I almost lost my train of thought when you started talking about me.
That's a true statement, man.
I know, it brought a little tear to my eye here. See that right there? A little tear in the corner. No, but I once told one of my clients, she always used to come and complain to me and always used to say, oh, this person can do this person can eat this and just still look skinny, this person can do this and still looks good, this person can do this and still looks good. So one day I just told her, I said, listen, you can't worry about what other people do. You can't at all. The only thing you can worry about is the thing that you can control. And what can you control? Your actions day in and day out. So yeah, your metabolism may not be faster than that girl. Maybe if you need to watch your calories more than she does, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't get there. It's just going to take you more work. And once you accept that fact and stop whining about it, you'll be there. You'll get there.
Yeah.
A lot of people think of that as a cop-out, like, oh, this guy's just a better powerlifter. We'll go back to powerlifting, for example. This guy's a better powerlifter than me, so there's no way I can ever beat him. So why should I even bother? Like it's one of those things like that. This, and I do that to myself all the time too. There's so many people online that I see all the time because everybody likes to post the happy things of themselves. So any powerlifter I follow, they just post up their maxes all the time. And there's so many people that deadlift more than me. And that's one of the things that is so frustrating for me because it's one of those lifts I keep working on. And I just see that stuff, and it's easy for me to say, oh, I don't understand why this is so hard for me. But you just look for other ways to fix it, and you try to find ways around your issue in order to be successful. You don't sit there and whine about it and say, I'm not going to say, oh, forget, I'm never going to deadlift 600 pounds. I'm done.
Right. Yeah. It just
That's
means
a quitter's
okay.
mindset,
Just means, okay, I'm not going to get it as easily as somebody who's naturally talented. It's going to take a lot more work from me, but you know what? I'm willing to put in the work. And if I put in the work, I'll get there. So you got to ask yourself how much work you're willing to put in. Some people it's just the way it is. Some people have to put in more work than others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good quote, man. Will Smith, I didn't realize Will Smith was so much of a motivational speaker until you really, when you pull up a couple quotes from him.
Yeah, he has some really, really good stuff. And his story is really good, too, because he's one of those guys, most people don't think about work ethic and stuff like that when it comes to Hollywood actors. It's just like, oh, they're Hollywood actors, they're talented people, they knew the right people, they got a lucky break, they got put in front of the right people, and they became actors and they made millions of dollars just because they naturally have it. Well, he's somebody who's a great example, and that quote is coming straight from him. The truth is, in the beginning of his career, I think it was, especially when he was trying to land the role with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he said,
I don't know anything about his story, so this is new to me.
He said that because he really wanted to make it in Hollywood, like that was his dream, and he had a work ethic to do it. You don't think about actors as having a work ethic to become a very good actor. You think about them as, okay, they're naturally talented people, they should be in front of the camera. Well, with him, that role he knew, okay, if I landed this role, this is going to basically, it's going to propel him to new heights. You know, if he does good with this role, it's going to mean so much for him. So he studied and studied and studied and practiced and practiced and practiced to make that character in that TV show role the best he could so that it would basically, you know, improve his career from there. So he treated that like, okay, most people would treat that like I've made it. You know, but he never treated it like, oh, I made it. He treated it like, okay, now I have an opportunity to show how good I am. I have to work to show people how good I really am.
Yeah, I think that actually, out of all the Hollywood people, he might really be natural. I don't think he's on anything. I just think, like he says, he just works hard, and you can tell. The reason why I think he's natural is because his body never changes throughout all the movies that he's in, and it's always kind of been a little bit the same, and he's just gotten progressively a little bit bigger and a little bit leaner every time. There's no drastic change. I really think he's natural and just has a good work ethic, man.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't talking about his physique. I mean, I agree.
Well, I was.
I agree with that. But what I'm saying is, like, as far as if you see a talented actor, like you see, like Denzel Washington is an actor. I don't think anybody could say, oh, he's a shitty actor. He's got no talent. You know what I mean? But people think, okay, he's naturally talented. I don't know his story. But what I'm saying is, like Will Smith, you look at him and you say, yeah, he's a talented actor. Some people like him. Some people might not like him. But he's not one of those guys where he just said, okay, I'm talented and I'm going to take this as far as I can take it. He said, listen, I want to be the best at this as possible, the best I can be as possible. So I'm going to put in as much work developing my acting skills to land bigger roles, do bigger roles, and move on and keep improving, you know?
Where did you learn so much about him?
I've watched a couple of his interviews. Yeah, he has a bunch of interviews on YouTube, and you know, I heard a couple quotes from him, and a lot of them just really stuck with me. You know, I think that I guess I could relate to some degree, but his mentality and his mindset was something that just made so much sense to me the first couple of times I heard his quotes, and I wanted to learn a lot more about him. And I don't know his whole story, but from the little bit that I do know, it was just it resonated with me because you can apply that to anything. You know, to me, it was when I was younger, it was always bodybuilding. I wanted to be the best bodybuilder I could. I wanted to be the best competitor I could. And it almost felt like it translated perfectly into bodybuilding, you know? That's what he wanted. He wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a bodybuilder, let's say. And his whole thing was, I may not be the most talented, but you know what? You won't work harder than me. So if we have to go up against each other, let's say for a role, you know, if you're more talented, you have an extra edge. But if I study the role, if I develop the character, I'm going to have an edge over you because I'm going to do that more than you're willing to do. So it all comes down to will. Okay, how bad do you want it? Are you willing to put in the work, you know? When I approached my first bodybuilding competition, that was the mindset I had. And it was literally, you know, if I have to die getting in shape, I will. You know, I mean, I wouldn't actually want to die, but you get my point. Like, if I have to put myself through as much suffering as I can to outwork everybody and look better on stage, then I'll do it, you know?
And we do the same thing with our clients here on New York Muscle Radio. If we have to be up until 12 a.m. recording podcasts, we do that. We do whatever it takes. And you could apply that to anything. And that's how you get successful, I guess, right? We'll figure out when we make it, man.
When we make it, yes.
Yeah. When we hit that mark where you know you make it. Which I don't think anybody...
there is no mark. For anybody who's curious, there's never a mark like, okay, we've made it. Like
Not that we hit it or anything.
No. Yeah. But there's so many things in my life that I've kind of already checked off the bucket list. And like years ago, if I said I would check that off the bucket list, I would have made it. And I'm like, I'm not even close. Things, man? Oh, man. I mean, depending how far you go back, like, you know, when I'm a kid, it's like, okay, if I go to college, I graduate college. That means now I'm an adult. I moved on to real life. Then you get your first job. Then it's like, you know, you move out, you buy a house, you know, you start a business. All these things are like bucket list things. And, you know, I've done all those that I've listed so far, and I still don't think I've made it. Like, there's more on the bucket list, you know? Like, and then I think as time goes on, that bucket list...
What's the highest thing on the list?
The highest thing on the list? I mean, it's probably, if you ask me this question in 5 years, it's probably going to be something higher on the list. But I would probably say the highest thing on the list is to be able to... I don't want to say retire because I never plan on retiring because I think there's always going to be something that's going to keep my mind going. But
that's for sure.
Let's just use the term retire. But that I could retire knowing that I gave all my endeavors as much as I could, and I ended up making as much money as I could from that to then just enjoy all the work that I put in. I would think that after that, I can't really think of another.
Do you have a specific age?
Not really, to be honest with you. Like when the time is right, you know what I mean? Because I feel like even if like a great goal, if someone told me, listen, you can accomplish everything you just said by the time you're 30. I'm 27 now. Like if let's say for some odd reason, which I don't expect it to, you can make millions and millions and millions of dollars spreading your word in the fitness industry, and by 30, you have enough money where if you just wanted to live a comfortable life and do what you wanted to do, you can retire, right? I still think at 30 I would be too young, and I would say, listen, I want to get my feet wet in something else, in some other aspect of this, maybe even a different thing altogether. But that's what I'm saying. I think the bucket list just keeps going on and on and on. And as of right now, yeah, that's where I'm trying to go with this. And when it happens, you know what I mean? I'm still young. There's a lot of things I do want to do. And, I guess I just want to keep checking off the bucket list and then defining new goals for myself.
And so much for being tired before we started recording, man.
I told you, well, we're going to get into this. I used one of our New York Muscle Jedi mind tricks on myself, again, because it's the mental podcast, and I was tired before this podcast, and now I'm full of energy and full of wisdom, motivation, and determination for you guys.
Yeah, so that's why I'm letting you roll, man. I'm not cutting you off today. I'm not making jokes. I'm letting you roll. If it keeps you awake and smiling, we're good. It's a good day in Pete Kacharian's world. All right, let's move on to the trending fitness topics. Again, I should just make this its own segment, but I have another clip from Arnold on The Apprentice. I actually really, really like this show. It's actually getting really good. I think Monday, whatever. I don't know when you guys are going to hear this versus when it is, but the season finale is this Monday coming up. So I'm excited to see who wins. It's actually a good show. It really is. So let's hold on. Let's get this going here.
You understand that because sometimes you lose around, but you're not a loser. Remember, the only person as a loser is that stays down. I've said that over and over again. I remember that when I lost bodybuilding competitions when I came over to America when I was 21 years old. I won 2 times Mr. Universe before I came over here, lost. I cried all night. Yeah. But then I realized, wait a minute. Even though I'm here by myself in this country, I just came over here, I don't speak the language, I don't have any friends here, I have nobody here, and I just lost the competition. This is the end of the world. I then finally picked myself up the next morning and I said, I'm going to be back. And I'm going to be back better than ever. And the next year, I won 2 Mr. Universe contests of both of the federations, and my bodybuilding career skyrocketed. So,
Good old Arnold. His story is always. I think it's more the way he speaks that makes it more motivational than what it actually his words.
Yeah, he can make anything sound motivational, inspirational. You can talk about what he ate for dinner that night, and you'll be motivated.
You see, I took the potatoes and I put them in the oven, and inside the oven it was 400 degrees.
Exactly.
That's like how he talks. Exactly. But that's like what he does. He gets so passionate about it.
5 minutes later, you don't know why, but you feel like making potatoes.
Yeah. It's so true. When when I met him, I was with my dad, and he started talking to my dad about cigars for like 5 minutes, but like went on like a rant like that about cigars. Like, oh, these cigars, they're from, Cuba and this and that. And the way they're
Cuba.
It was just crazy the way he's like, just how passionate he is about everything he says. I think I got to start talking like that, man.
I think that is an example, like when I was talking about earlier about talent and skill. I think that's an example of talent plus skill. You know what I mean? Because I think he naturally has that
acting skill.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I think he was always a very charismatic guy. I think naturally he was born with that trait because he always had it even when he was younger, when he was, involved in pumping iron and the bodybuilding scene.
He was already still taking. He just started taking.
Did he just starting? Yeah.
So I think he probably was using some of those techniques.
But I'm sure he was. Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know he lied a lot in that. He told a lot of like fib stories. Like he exaggerated the truth. So I think that's all the acting, I
think it's a combination of both, though. I think there's definitely a natural charisma to him because I think anybody can learn a skill, but to take it as far as he's taking it, there has to be some natural talent to it. You know what I mean? Somebody who's not naturally talented can go pretty far, but he's like the best at what he does in everything pretty much,
But it's so funny because like normally you're like, all right, come on, spit it out, buddy. But the way he talks is like you're hanging on by every word.
That's also just because it's Arnold, you know? If anybody else used the same exact way of speaking as him, you'd be like, all right, shut up, man.
Come on, don't you want to make potatoes after what I said?
Not after the way you said it, but maybe if he said it, yeah.
All right, let's move on. So the other trending topic I found, and this is pretty fitting because the Super Bowl was this past weekend, and the New England Patriots took it again. Tom Brady is the GOAT, the greatest of all time. And I actually pulled up an article because I thought it was pretty interesting because this is a whole big controversy right now. And Tom Brady basically is a vegetarian. 80% of what, this is straight from his chef that he has cooking for him. So 80% of what they eat is vegetables. I buy the freshest vegetables. If it's not organic, I don't use it. And whole grains, brown rice, quinoa, millet, beans. And the other 20% is lean meats, grass-fed steak, duck every now and then, and chicken. And as for fish, I cook mostly salmon. So he has no white sugar, no white flour, no MSG. He only uses raw olive oil, but he never cooks the olive oil. He cooks with coconut oil and Himalayan pink salt as sodium. Never use iodine. Brady doesn't eat nightshades, which are basic because they're not anti-inflammatory. So no tomatoes, no peppers, no mushrooms, no eggplants.
Wait, so they said he's a vegetarian?
Yeah, mostly 80%.
Was he an 80% vegetarian? Because I heard you say he has chicken and
20% of his diet. So not like you're thinking of calorie breakdown, not calorie breakdown.
No, I know what you're saying.
80% of his food that he eats is mostly vegetables.
Right.
So here we go. So they asked him. They asked the chef. So what about a cheat day? What does Campbell cook for Brady and the girl? I don't know if you know Giselle Bundchen. Bundchen. I don't even know how to say her last name. When they want to just relax. So what do they make? What kind of comfort food? So the chef says he does a quinoa dish with wilted greens using kale or Swiss chards or beet greens. He adds garlic toasted in coconut oil and then uses toasted almonds or cashew sauce with lime curry, lemongrass, and a bit of ginger. That's their comfort foods. But basically, Brady likes eating this way because he believes that it's anti-inflammatory and that it helps him recover. He says he's 40, so he feels like it's giving him the edge at this moment in his life. But dude, can you fucking imagine like your cheat meal or whatever? I hate saying cheat meal, but like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna kind of eat whatever I want today. Let me have some quinoa with some fucking kale and Swiss chard. Really?
I don't think anybody follows these diets long term, man. I got to be honest with you.
I think that this is a lifestyle for him, though. Maybe that might not be his, whatever his cheat. I'm sure he has other things here and there, but I really think that this is what he follows because of the anti-inflammatory purposes. And because Tom Brady, a lot of people don't know, but Tom Brady is a really, really aggressive. You want to talk about talent and skill? This guy's really, really talented, and he works his fucking ass off. I'm not a Patriot fan. I'm a Giant fan, so I can like him. But Tom Brady's just a worker, and this is why he's won 5, Super Bowls. There's no other reason why. A lot of people say he cheats, this and that, but the guy's just super talented. You can't count him out. So there's got to be something, to say that may be working for him. I don't know. Maybe he was just eating too much. Maybe he was just eating like shit before.
Well, how long's he been doing this for? Is this like a new
I don't
thing?
know. I didn't say. I tried to look for the exact diet, but it didn't come up.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of these guys that talk about all these crazy diets and stuff like that, a lot of times, like, I'm not saying there's nothing really extreme about this diet where it's not sustainable, but he's talking about this now. It might be something in a couple months from now he's not doing anymore,
Oh, yeah, of course.
So, I mean, I'm not saying that definitely, if that's the goal, you always got to ask what the purpose is. And obviously they stated that it's because it's an anti-inflammatory or non-inflammatory diet. That's going to be good. That's definitely going to help him with his recovery. It's probably not necessarily the best for overall performance, but again, if you're managing inflammation, that's going to help with performance as well. So you kind of, you got to take the good with the bad, I guess, and you got to weigh out the pros and cons of it. And I guess for him, listen, if it's working, it's working. He might not necessarily need that, but you know what? If he's doing it and it's working, why change it?
Yeah, exactly.
I would like a little more protein, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's working for him, so you can't say nothing, right? It's Tom Brady. Did you ever see Ted 2?
I haven't seen Ted 2. I've just seen the first one.
Oh, my God. The second one, they break into Tom Brady's house because they're trying to get his semen.
Oh, yes.
So he throws Ted out the window, and he goes, the perfect spiral. It's hilarious. Fuck, I love that movie, Ted, man. I love that guy. What's his name? Seth MacFarlane? Oh, my God. He's hilarious. He's hilarious. But, guys, also, I forgot to mention earlier that we also have, we've been getting some requests for autograph memorabilia, I want to say. But, autograph stuff. So I have put it on the website, NewYorkMuscleRadio.com. If you click on that products tab, you'll find some autographed T-shirts you could pick up, or an autographed picture of us from Cracking the Flexible Dieting Code cover. So again, guys, that's just that, if you guys want something autographed, because we've been getting it requested, you can head on over there and pick it up.
Yeah, this was exciting actually because these were requested. We never really thought about doing this, and it sounds kind of funny that we're having to say, "Oh, we're signing autographs," but people have been asking for them. So it was a big accomplishment. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's humbling to hear people say, "Oh, I want an autographed shirt. Or I want an autographed picture from you," and we're getting them from. What was the last one? It was where were they located?
Oh, Norway.
Norway, yeah. I've never been to Norway, and I do want.
That's where Elsa and Anna are from, man, from Frozen.
I do want to visit Norway, but we have listeners in Norway that want our autographs, so I guess I'll be there in spirit. Eventually, one day, maybe I'll actually get there. But guys, honestly, like we really, I can speak for both of us on this. We really appreciate the fact that you guys do want some autographed memorabilia of ours, because it means a lot to know that the information we put out there for you guys.
Dude, it's not, I said that before, but it's not memorabilia. What are we gonna sign? Our gym shorts?
I mean, listen, if you guys want a pair of my gym shorts autographed, let me know.
You're gonna get some creep that's gonna ask for your posing trunks.
Yeah. No, I don't have those anymore. Maybe I do.
You don't have yours? I still have mine. What's so funny is that mine are clean. I washed them, but I had them in I read all the time, before going to the contest that you have to have multiple pairs just in case something happens. Yeah. So I had them in little Ziploc bags. So when you do a bodybuilding show, Dream 10 gets everywhere. Everywhere. So it must have stained my posing trunks. So no matter how much I wash them, I open the bag and you get that woof of the Dream 10 in your face. To this day.
Yeah, it's bad, man. It's bad. I remember my first time I had a pair of posing trunks. I was getting ready for my first competition. I was still living at home in my mom's house. I was 19. And for whatever reason, my mom was going through my stuff, and she found them and was like, I didn't want to. Afterwards, when I put them on and I was getting ready for the show, she's like, I had found those, and it kind of worried me a little bit. Like, I didn't know what I had found. Like, she thought she found a fucking G-string in my drawer. Like,
her son was a stripper.
She didn't know what was going on.
Dude, did you know my mom listens to the podcast, right?
Yeah.
So that means your mom listens to the podcast too, because for whatever reason, our moms are friends now. They apparently work together. I don't know. Your mom called my mom the other day at work, and my mom's like, "Oh, I talked to Pete's mom, blah blah blah." And then my mom called me before to tell me she listened to the bonus episode we put out of us on the Hollywood Life podcast. She's like, "That was a really good episode." I'm like, my mom listens to the podcast. She's our number one listener.
Hey, listen, as long as we have support from anybody, and we know we're doing something right?
We should get our moms on here, man. I'm sure they could tell us some funny stories about us at bodybuilding. That would be actually a really funny podcast, because I'm pretty sure my mom thought the same thing when she saw the posing trunks the first time too. Yeah, that and the other first time I did something weird that my parents thought was really crazy was I might have been a couple weeks out, and my parents knew I was into bodybuilding, but they didn't understand bodybuilding competition and all that stuff. That's my son. He lifts cars. Yeah. So I remember I was getting ready and I was testing out some different tanning products, because I had the Dream Tan and I had the Pro Tan and stuff like that, and I wanted to try them a couple of weeks out before Dream Tan works the best, man. Yeah, so I was actually trying Pro Tan first. That sucked. So I shaved my entire body, right, to put it on. And, I shaved and I was getting ready to put it on or whatever, but I shaved first and didn't apply it yet. And I threw on a pair of shorts and I had to run outside to do something or whatever. And I ran into my dad. My dad's talking to me, and he looks at me and he's like, "Did you shave your legs?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Why? He's like, "Why are you shaving your legs? You're a guy, right?" And I'm like, "Dad, it's a bodybuilding thing." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, it's a bodybuilding thing." But thinking to himself, something wrong with my son. My son is shaving his legs. He probably said, your dad probably turned around and said, "Thank God I have Gregory." Your brother. Thank God for Gregory. I don't know. But it's so funny because between my mom and my dad, they didn't know what was going on. Yeah. Well, actually, while we were talking before, I have this still pulled up, and I'm actually going to bring this up. It's totally left field, but I thought this was a cool post. I just pulled up something randomly on Instagram, and it's someone outside. He's shoveling all the snow, but he's shirtless outside. So automatically I see this. I'm like, what a fucking dumbass. But then I read what he wrote, and he goes, "I've always done things to test myself mentally. It's strange, but I wouldn't change that for anything." And I was like, wow, that's actually kind of mind-opening. He's literally outside with no shirt on shoveling. So he's just like, but his rationale is behind it is he's just mentally testing himself
Right.
to go through, and then like he hashtags like it's mind over matter, and it's like, wow, that's actually good. That earned a like from me.
I guess so. I don't know if I would like that.
Yeah, but you're looking at it like everyone else is like, oh, what a fucking idiot with his shirt off. But you gotta think about the message, man.
No, I understand the message. I would look at it a little bit differently as far as, and I think this is a good way to live your life is you should always take yourself outside of your comfort zone, which that's an example of doing that. Obviously, that's uncomfortable to go outside without a shirt on and shovel snow. But I think a good thing to do is always prepare yourself to have to go outside of your comfort zone. And if you have like a track record of doing it on an ongoing basis, it becomes an easier decision for, okay, when you have to do it, to do it. You know what I mean? A lot of times people are faced with a decision and it might be a split decision. Like, okay, do I go through with this or do I retreat and play it safe, stay within my comfort zone? But if you do it on a constant basis, even with like little things every day in life, like whatever it is, like when the alarm clock goes off, instead of hitting snooze to just get up out of bed that second and not, I want to just roll over for like 2 more minutes. When you do that over and over again, you reinforce that over and over again. And then when bigger challenges come up, you naturally tend to go the comfort route. But when you're just constantly taking yourself out of your comfort zone, it makes those decisions a little easier.
Yeah, I'm over people testing themselves. Like that's why I think people do like Tough Mudders and those runs and stuff, like just to test themselves. Like I'm just not into that, so I don't want to do that. Like I have no desire to go outside with my shirt off right now. But when he said that like about testing himself, I'm like, oh, that's a fucking good idea. Then not that I would go outside and do it, but I'm like, that's like a good, whatever. I don't know. I just saw that, so I was like, I bring that up. That's kind of cool. So let's move on to the listener question of the day, guys. If you have a question you'd like us to answer it, you could submit it on our website, NewYorkMuscleRadio.com. Says listener question, or call your question in at 508-687-2534. Guys, we have over 500,000 downloads. So there's 500,000 people have actually listened to this podcast. So that means that more of you need to call in. I want to hear your guys' voices, okay? So today's question is from Daniel Soriano, and he says, what's up, guys? It's Daniel from Montclair, California. To go to California, to move there. Obviously, one of the best back building movements is the barbell row. But is it more beneficial to do each rep from the ground or to hang the weight off the ground and pull from there? I've heard different opinions and just wanted to clear that up. Thanks, guys. So basically, Daniel's talking about, I believe he's talking about doing a pendulum row versus a barbell row, because a pendulum row is basically when the bar is dead stopped on the ground and you're pulling it up and then letting it rest again. Whereas a barbell row, you don't let it rest on the ground. So there's two differences between the two. I actually hate pendulum rows. I don't think they have any purpose.
Yeah,
I used to do a lot of them religiously. I worked my way up to like 275 doing them, but I just don't see, I didn't get anything out of them at all.
I agree.
Zero.
Well, I never liked them to begin with, to be honest with you. I think that those are designed as a power movement to increase your strength.
I don't think it even does that, man.
I know
didn't
it
get
doesn't.
No back development from it. I didn't get nothing from
agree.
it. Zero.
I agree, but that was kind of the idea behind them. But because it's supposed to mimic a deadlift and row it with your arms. But if your goal is to, and I think that's what he's after, he wants to build a bigger back, absolutely. Continuous tension is going to be better. And that's with anything, any type of movement where you do keep constant tension on the muscles. You're going to overload them more. You're going to accumulate more volume that way too. Definitely just a traditional bent over barbell row. How you position yourself might make the movement even better. But as far as, deloading them on the floor or just hanging and then pulling up, constant tension barbell rows are definitely going to be better, especially for hypertrophy.
Yeah. And I would recommend that 100%. Don't do the one-handed though, because you probably build up a bad tendonitis, as that did happen to me. I don't think I have anything else to add to that question.
No, and like I said, that's with any movement in general. If you're questioning if one movement's better than the other, if you're able to keep constant tension on the muscles, and again, your goal is primarily size, that's what you want to do. So it's like the same thing with any other movement where there might be a pause in the movement or a partial movement where there's no tension on the muscle. You want to stick to something where there's more tension on it throughout the entire range of motion.
Yeah, Daniel, I'm going to give you a piece of advice that I think worked best for me is to try each of them. Try 6 weeks religiously doing a pendulum row where you let the weight touch the ground. Try it for 6 weeks. Then switch and try a barbell row for 6 weeks and see which one does which for you. See if you get more out of the pendulum row or see if you get more out of the barbell row, because that's really the only way you're going to be able to tell if it actually works or not. All right, let's take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back with the psychology of lifting.
But I'll tell you what, when I'm done, my biceps are humongous. Humongous. Like that bang.
My name is Anthony Bevilacqua, and I'm the host of New York Muscle Radio podcast. My arms have been a weak point for years. When I started training, my arms measured 11 inches. Even after many years of hardcore training, nothing would get them to grow. With the help of my co-host, Big Pete, we set out on a mission to gain 1 solid inch to my arms in 12 weeks.
In the greatest experiment of all.
12 weeks later, this program finally helped me get 18-inch arms. The 12-week arm experiment, the ultimate arm growth program, ebook, the audio book, and the workout video. Pick up your copy now on NewYorkMuscleRadio.com.
Nice, Pete.
What?
I saw you checking out that girl's butt.
What? I was just checking out her yoga pants.
Pete.
I was thinking you'd look really good in yoga pants.
Uh-huh.
I was like trying to check out what brand it was. Like I was looking at her form on deadlifts. They were all messed up.
Do you think she has a nicer butt than me?
Well, it definitely doesn't look like a pancake.
Did you just call my butt a pancake?
Well, I mean,
What can I do?
you gotta try New York Muscle Radio's Glutylicious program.
Glutylicious.
Yeah, you'll finally get a celebrity booty, like all the other girls following the program.
Fine, I'll do it. But don't get jealous when other guys check out my glutylicious ass.
Glutylicious, your guide to getting a celebrity booty in 12 weeks. Now available exclusively at NewYorkMuscleRadio.com.
Hey, great coffee.
Doesn't it taste good as fresh perk?
Better.
Better than those girls make at the office?
Honey, their coffee can't hold a candle to yours.
Caffeine, the world's only instant coffee that's fortified with muscle-building protein. Visit buyproteincoffee.com now.
What's up, New York Muscle Radio listeners? It's your co-host, Big Pete Kacharian, and I'm glad you're all listening. Put down that tilapia and asparagus. Learn how to get bigger, stronger, and leaner eating what you want. Pick up a copy of Cracking the Flexible Dieting Code exclusively at NewYorkMuscleRadio.com. But for now, let's get to the show.
All right, guys, we're back. New York Muscle Radio, episode number 148, The Psychology of Lifting. So let's just start this right off, man. Let's roll right into this because I'm super excited for this. I'm entering this podcast like I'm entering a set. I'm fucking zoned in right now, baby. I'm jacked up on life. You got that, man? Skip a call. Woo!
I was gonna say we're getting a little Tony Robbins on this one.
Yeah. All right, guys, I want you to jump. What does he say? Jump up and down and yeah, start screaming. What does he make?
Yeah, he makes the whole audience start jumping up and down, running around and screaming and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
With his famous line, "Motion creates emotion," right?
Yeah. Listen, whatever. He's right, I guess. Tony Robbins. No one's better than Tony Robbins. Anyway, so let's start this off. The correct mindset to make progress, and this is something that a lot of people don't realize. Before you even attempt to go to the gym or just starting on your path to whatever kind of body you want, you need to have your mind right. You know, you have to be in the right mental state to do this. You have to actually want it. So let's just say you're thinking about competing in bodybuilding and you realize you have to diet down. And if you're not in the right mindset to diet down, you're not going to want to do it. You're just going to say, you know, you'll do it for a couple of weeks and then you'll just quit and drop off. You have to have a burning desire to do something. Otherwise, your mind's not going to want to do it. So you have to understand that if you don't have that, if you're like wishy-washy from it from the beginning, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, and I'd say the biggest thing you have to have as far as the right mindset is, number one, you have to be, besides, yes, you have to be passionate about it. Without that, nothing works. But you also have to have 100% belief in the process, meaning that you have to believe that whatever it is that you're doing is going to get you to where you're trying to get. So a lot of times people will start diets, and it might be the worst diet, doesn't make any sense. But you know what? They believe it's going to work. So you know what happens? They stick to it 100%, even if it doesn't work right initially, but if they honestly believe it's going to work, they stick with it long enough to see results. It might not be the best results that they could see, but if you truly believe in it, then you're going to keep going forward with it. The second you say, I don't think this is going to work, you'll have a tendency to back out of it. And I could use myself as an example. When I first started, I'm sure I've told my story before on this. When my goal was just to lose weight, in my mind, it was, okay, if I eat less, I'll lose weight. Didn't matter what it was, just eat less, eat less, eat less. So I was always reinforcing in my mind, okay, if I eat less, I'll lose weight. And you know what? It was a very easy process for me. It happened very fast because I had so much belief that, okay, as long as I eat less, I'll lose weight. So whenever you have that mindset with anything you do in life, that's the correct mindset, believing that whatever it is you're going to do is going to lead to results that you want.
And that's a good point, because sometimes I always feel like I doubt myself all the time. It's just, it's a bad habit. So what do you do? And I'm going to ask you this because I'm just genuinely curious. So what do you do if you kind of, I don't want to say doubt. Like, all right, one of the things with me, just talk to you like as if I'm talking to you now on the podcast. But so one of the things with me is it's always like, I hate saying this to myself, like, oh, this program is going to get me to 600-pound deadlift, 600-plus pound deadlift. Like, I hate saying that. Like, I just hate, you know what I mean? You get the point? Like, what I'm getting at? Like, I just hate saying, like, oh, this diet's going to get me this, or this process is going to make me a millionaire. I just hate, like, giving it a definitive thing for whatever reason. I don't like that. And
okay, so you're saying you don't like doing that?
No, I hate it. To me, it doesn't, like, I'm just going to work every day at it, and eventually I'll get there. But I hate, like, saying, like, so going back to the powerlifting thing, like, all right, like, okay, so I have to hit 600-plus and my meet in at Raw Nationals. I have to do that. So I hate saying, like, oh, this program's going to take me to that.
Right. Well,
like, I hate making that goal because there's always that chance you're not going to make it. And then if I say this program's going to give me that 620-plus pound deadlift or whatever I need, I have the doubt in my head that it's going to do that. Like, that's why I hate it, I guess.
So you're asking me, so you're asking me what should you do in that situation?
Yes.
Like, if you are doubting it?
Yes, because I'm sure there's one of our listeners out there are in the same boat as me. They hate saying it because they know they have like that little bit of doubt in their head that, oh, that's not really going to do it.
Right.
Like sometimes like almost like I say those things and I'm like, come on, Anthony, really?
Yeah. Well, one of the biggest things, and again, if we're talking about belief, like, okay, you need to believe that this is going to work. One of the things that reinforces that belief is when you actually see results or you see progress, because your mind now has proof that it is working. Maybe you didn't get to where you want to get yet, but there's proof that you're on the right track. So let's say in your case, what's your deadlift at right now?
I don't even know because I'm always tweaking my form and trying to better things. So the most I've ever done sumo is 575. But I stopped going sumo for a while. I started doing conventional, and I recently just switched back to a modified sumo, or like a wide conventional, basically. So I'm not sure.
Okay, but you've hit 575 before, and you want to get it to 600, right?
Correct.
So your mind basically wants that proof that it's on the right track. Therefore, you're going to get positive reinforcement from that and belief that what you're doing is right, that you're on the right track. So the mistake I think you're making is saying, okay, I believe this program is going to get to me 600. What you have to tell yourself is, I believe this program is going to get me from 575 to 580, right? You can believe that, right? That I might gain 5 pounds. That's not as hard to believe as it's going to take me.
I don't know right now because I switched, like I said, like I switched and I did conventionals, like 560 or whatever. So yeah, it's 565, I guess would be the number, I guess. But conventional. But then again, I just switched again.
Okay.
So I don't know.
But let's say you set up a program that you said, okay, I believe this program will get me 5 more pounds on my deadlift. You could say, all right, I could get 5 pounds over this, right? You believe that,
Yeah,
so
that's an easy goal.
So what happens is, now you believe that you could get 5 more pounds. Eventually, you hit the 5-pound PR. Now, what happens? You get positive reinforcement in your mind. You just gave proof to your mind that, hey, listen, I'm on the right track. I hit 5 pounds. Now what's going to happen? You believe, okay, I got myself to do 5 pounds, so then I could do it again, right? I could do 5 more pounds.
So you're saying to set the bar lower?
Set the bar to an achievable standard. You know what I mean? If the end goal seems too far, hey, listen, if you believe that you can take a program and get your deadlift to 700, then by all means go by that. But if you're having trouble believing in the process, because that's most people's problems, believing that it's going to work, Then you need to set your standards lower. So you set your criteria lower. So like, okay, what is success as far as this program? 5-pound PR, I consider that a success. I consider that a small victory. Now you reset a new goal. Along the way, you're going to get there, but you believed in the process the whole time. If it's too far away where you don't believe it, then yeah, you got to set the goal a little bit lower so that every time you do hit that goal, you give proof to your mind, okay, this works. You know, that's going to build the momentum. That's going to build the positive reinforcement from what you're doing is working.
I agree. And I think a lot of people do the same thing I do as far as overtaking things that they believe is not possible. And I think that that's a good point of taking smaller steps. It's okay to kind of, you know, everyone, if you listen to everything that goes on social media and whatnot, everybody tells you to think big. But sometimes if it's not in your mindset to think that big, you have to think a little bit smaller, but a little bit ahead of where you are and just keep pushing forward. Like, I can't tell myself, like, oh, I want to make, like, I'm going to make $1 million in 2 years. Like, I can't say that to myself because I don't believe it. You know what I mean? Like,
if you don't believe it, you can't trick yourself into believing something you don't want to believe. But what you can do is you can set your standards a little lower to something that you do believe, then accomplish that, then set the standard a little higher. You got to give, the thing is, you have to give yourself positive reinforcement that what you're doing is correct. Because if you make no money right now and you set a goal in 2 years and want to make $2 million, when do you get to the point where you say, all right, I'm on the right track to make $2 million? It's very far down the road. You know what I mean? But if you say, all right, my first year, I want to try and make $30,000 or whatever it is, maybe if you set a 6-month goal, you set a small 6 months goal, in 6 months you could actually reevaluate it. When you set a 2-year plan, where do you set the point where you tell yourself, am I on the right track? Because it's very easy to get discouraged when you have that much time and that big of a goal.
I almost hate to set goals sometimes, you know, because it's almost like it's so hard to set a goal that's achievable in your mind, and I hate setting goals. I think it's a bad problem of mine, but I hate it.
No, I think you do need goals, but like I said, I don't think you should place stock in such a long-term goal that's so far ahead of you. That should always be in the back of your mind, because ultimately you do want to hit that 600-pound deadlift. But you know what? You want to hit that 600-pound deadlift when it's time to hit that 600-pound deadlift. Right now, it's time to hit 5 more pounds than you already hit.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not going to hit 600 pounds tomorrow. We know that. So focus on the 5 pounds. Yeah, we never know with you, man, but you get my point.
All right. So let's talk about now going into the gym. So I want to talk about why it's important to get your mind on your side before you go into the gym.
So this is a good one, and I feel like we can almost talk about this on a whole podcast on its own. But the way I like to do this is the way I like to describe it. And you always tell me I'm very cerebral, so I guess I'm very good example at explaining this. I guess the analogy I could give you guys is, you want to treat your mind or look at your mind like it's your friend. And what I mean is your friend. So like Anthony's my friend. He's my training partner. When I walk in the gym, if I'm having a down day and I'm like, I don't really have too much energy, Anthony's a good friend. You know what he does? He tells me like, listen, come on, man. Get that negative shit out of your head. Let's lift. Come on. Let's do it. He brings me up. You know, his emotion brings me up, gets me in the mood. We have a good workout. You know, he talks me into it. So he's a good friend. Your mind will do the exact same thing. So let's say you don't have a training partner with you. You walk in the gym and you're tired. Your mind's going to be talking to you the same way your friend's going to be talking to you. But you know what? Your mind is not always a good friend. Your mind can sometimes be the bad friend. The friend who says like, yeah, this is stupid. Why are we in the gym today? Fuck it. Let's go leave. Let's go get some McDonald's and watch a movie and just take it easy. Oh, it's a snow day. Let's stay in today. Let's not lift. You know, your mind can do that. So you have to look at your mind like your annoying friend. So if your annoying friend was sitting there telling you, skip the gym, Pete, don't go to the gym, what are you going to tell your friend if you're really motivated? You're going to say, listen, man, shut up. I got goals. I got to get to the gym. So you need to think about it like that. So if you have that negative mindset, just think about it like it's your friend being negative. So you need to talk to your negative friend and get him in check and say, listen, you can bullshit all you want and you can tell me, listen, let's not work out today, but you know what? We're going to work out. And you know what happens? Usually when you do that and then you start getting in the motions and you start working out, he's going to become your best friend again. He's going to say, yeah, you know what, Pete? Let's roll today. And that's how your mindset changes. You know, it sounds weird describing it like that, but a lot of people can probably relate to that, how fast you can change your mindset. You could walk in the gym not wanting to work out, but then start training and say, wow, I'm having a great workout. Let's kill the weights.
Yeah. Yeah, again, and then you have to make sure that mental state before you even enter the gym is right. Because, again, if you go in the gym, like Pete said, if you go in a little tired, you're just going to feel like shit and you're just not going to want to do it. So you have to program yourself and do something to kind of remind yourself that you have to get in that zone. And I think you have to, Pete said that I help him get out of that state, but you have to find something for you to get you out of that state, because, you can't always rely on a gym partner or somebody in the gym or some type of maybe you need to watch, I don't know, maybe you need to watch a YouTube video to inspire you before you lift. Maybe you need to put on pumping iron and watch a little bit of Arnold before you go into the gym to get your mind right. Maybe you need to listen to a self-help book. And maybe you need to listen to this podcast before you go in. Maybe you're doing a set right now. Come on, do it. Do your set. Do it. Curl. I was pretending Pete was working out, but yeah, you get the idea.
Yeah, and I want to give a couple little tips here too, because we always like to say that we like to give actual practical and applicable information here, because we're talking all theory, I guess you could say here, but I like to give you guys some stuff you could actually do. So, like, as an example, if you're walking into the gym and you just don't feel like doing it, one thing you can do is go in the gym and just say to yourself, like, let's say you have leg day, right? And you're just like, this is going to be a brutal leg day. I don't feel like doing it. I'm tired. It's going to be a shitty workout. Take the stress off yourself from saying, okay, I have to do this brutal leg workout. Now, just say to yourself, okay, all I got to do is get to the gym. You get to the gym, mission accomplished. You already accomplished something. You're reinforcing in your mind that, okay, I did something. I set a goal. I did it, right? That's an easy goal to do. Went to the gym. Next step, get to the squat rack. That's all you're thinking. Get to the squat rack. Do one set, right? Do 2 sets, whatever, lightweight. By that time, you're already building momentum. Your mindset's going to start to shift, and you'll actually notice this. Try this one day, and especially with weight training, why it's so good and this works so well is after you do set 1, set 2, you'll start getting the blood moving. You'll feel the blood moving. Your endorphins will actually start rising. You'll actually feel better. Your mindset's actually chemically, physically going to change, and then you're in a better mood too. And then you're like, you know what? Let's work out. So always take it one step at a time. And even this is something I tell myself a lot, is when sets are hard, in my mind, a lot of times I tell myself, listen, 1 rep at a time. And I think I tell Anthony this sometimes too when he's squatting and it's like, a set of 5. I'm like, listen, man.
I actually told you this because I have this on the wall in my gym.
Do you? You have 1 more rep, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to think about it. Okay, don't think about it as a heavy set of 5. Think about it as 1 rep at a time. So you're not thinking further than 1 rep. So you're not thinking, oh, this 1 rep was hard, but I got 4 more. It's no, 1 rep, good, done. Okay, what do I got to do now? 1 rep, 1 rep, 1 rep. So don't think too far ahead. Just think about what the next step is in front of you, and that'll change your mindset a lot.
I'm glad you said that, because the next point that we wanted to bring up was getting your mind right before you're set. And I think you kind of answered that question too. So I guess we can kind of move on from there. Because there's another portion of that which we'll get into. I don't want to cut ahead, but I think you said it right. When you go into a set and you're kind of dreading the set, don't think about it as, I don't feel like doing a set of 12. Just think about doing 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And you know what? Sometimes, let's say you're doing a set of 12. And for me, I'll just use me as an example. Like if I'm doing curls and I'm doing a set of 12, and I'm at 9 and it's burning and I want to put the weight down, and there's everything inside of you just telling you, just put it back, that's enough, you did enough. You have to understand, it's like, no, I could do more. That's what I tell myself recently. Like sometimes it's really, really burning. I'm like, and I got to do more, and I'll just do another one, and then I'll just do another one, and then I just do another one, and then by the time you turn around, you have 1 more left, and then you do it, and it's done.
Yeah, it's a lot more mentally draining on the mind to have to keep thinking ahead. So it's already physically draining because you're lifting weights, but then on top of it, if you keep thinking ahead, it's just overall draining. And I've taken this even a step further. We were doing heavy singles the other day on squats, and Anthony kept telling me, put more weight on the bar, because I was like, no, I'm at my limits for today. It was the weight I felt comfortable with. And he's like, no, put more weight on the bar. And I'm like, all right, I'll put more weight on the bar. So I put it on, and in my mind, the way I got through the heavy set when I was doubting that I can do it was I said to myself in my head, I said, okay, listen, even it's only 1 rep. So I'm not even thinking about 1 rep, but the first thing I think about is, okay, get the weight off the bar, take a step back. All right, I did those 2 things. Good. You already accomplished that. Now, bury it and lift. I'm thinking it's step by step as I do it. And it makes it that much easier when you break it down. When you're not thinking, okay, squat 5 reps. It's like, no, do 1 at a time.
Yeah. So now moving on from this, this is something that was, so one of the things with me is, When I go for squats, and for whatever reason, squats is just my exercise that causes high anxiety. I have no idea why. It's my best lift. I like squatting. I'm not afraid of squatting, but for whatever reason, it drives anxiety up on me, whatever the reason is. Literally in a powerlifting meet, anxiety will be through the roof, which it usually is in the beginning. But as soon as I'm done with squats, it's like, and I can relax the whole rest of the meet. But my anxiety level before squats just shoots up. I have no idea why. I have no idea. So one day I was getting under the bar and I was like, oh man, I really don't fucking want to do this. I can't get under here. Like, and I'd reset, I'd walk around. I kind of like, you do that whole thing where you kind of like pace before you don't want to do it. And you kind of like think about it in your head, like, all right, I'm not ready yet. Like you just kind of like, you find yourself wasting time to get up to the bar. So one day I just turned to you and I'm like, man, I think I get anxiety before squats. What the hell should I do? So go ahead, man. Give the answer that you gave because I thought it was a really good answer.
Yeah. Well, I always say that there's two things you can do with anxiety. You can either let it cripple you or you can use it. And in terms of bodybuilding, fitness, powerlifting, it's definitely advantageous to use it. And if anything, I could tell you I perform better with high anxiety. And when you're doing something like a heavy squat, anxiety is your friend if you know how to use it. But if you don't, it will cripple you. So the way to do it, like I tell Anthony, is, all right, listen, just use it. What you got to do is you got to sit there and you got to say, okay, I have anxiety, but you know what? I'm just going to do it anyway. And I'm going to get under that squat bar and I'm going to feel the anxiety fully. Don't try to resist the anxiety because that's what a lot of people are doing. That's when it becomes crippling. When you try fighting anxiety, it's always going to win. When you use the anxiety, it's going to make you even stronger. It's going to make you perform better. So I always, I kept telling Anthony, get under the squat bar, feel all the anxiety, and then use it as momentum to lift. Because when you're scared, when you're nervous, your body's capable of doing really great things that you've never done before. So when you have that anxiety, basically what you're going to do is use that anxiety as momentum to help you lift. It's very hard to describe it. You have to do it to really understand it. But the fact is, you have to just force yourself under the bar with anxiety. And that anxiety, if you use it right, it'll help you. So I always told them, just use it. That's the best way to describe it. If you have anxiety, use it.
Yeah. And that was a great piece of advice, man. Again, when you said it to me, I was like, you know what, he's right. And one of the things I try to do if I get really bad anxiety before a set is I try not to think about it. And I just get under there, I get under the bar, and I pick it up. As soon as it's on my back, the anxiety goes away. But it's just like getting to that bar position. So I think sometimes you develop certain patterns when you work out. For me, I get under the squat bar, I put my hands on it, line myself up, I move the bar, straighten it out, and I kind of sit there for a second. If I don't sit there for that second and I just get right under the bar, I'm fine.
Right.
It's just getting under the bar. It's getting yourself in there. So maybe changing that pattern, that setup process up just a little bit in order to get past that anxiety. If in other words, if you get anxiety before, I don't know, doing cardio, you can get anxiety before doing cardio. Don't think about it. Just maybe start your workout with some cardio. I mean, I don't know. Change that pattern up. Change that destructive behavior up. So this is going to lead us right into our next point, which is how to stop destructive thought patterns. And I just gave you one tip there.
Right. Yeah. Changing things up. Yeah. The thing with destructive thought patterns is that's just what it is. It's the thought pattern. So a lot of times it's kind of the opposite of what we talked about originally of having full belief in it. So a destructive thought pattern is, oh, this is hard. It's not worth it. I'm not going to reach my goals. I suck anyway. I don't have the genetics. I'll never be that good. Those are destructive thought patterns. You might really want it, but you might be telling yourself, like your mind might be that annoying friend. He might be the annoying friend. He's not providing you with all the positive thoughts. He's being negative. He's telling you, listen, you quit now, you suck, whatever. So how do you change that? You have to change your thought process. So I always talk about this a lot is, humans do two things. They either go towards pleasure or they avoid pain. So generally when you have a destructive thought pattern, you're avoiding pain. So if it's something like, Anthony being nervous getting on the squat bar, he might not even realize it on the surface, but he's avoiding pain to some degree. Oh, I'm somewhat nervous. Either I'm going to get crushed by this heavy weight, so he's avoiding pain, or I'm somewhat nervous. I don't want to miss this and feel like I suck, or whatever the reason might be. It might be a combination of both. It might be neither. But those are negative thought patterns, and that's what's causing him anxiety. So you got to remember he's also doing this because he's after the pleasure of whatever it is. He's after the pleasure of achieving his goals. He's after the pleasure of getting stronger. He's after the pleasure of performing at his best, becoming the best version of himself to win contests, whatever it is. So you're always in a constant battle between moving towards pleasure and away from pain. And Anthony, in his case, when he has anxiety, he has to overrule it by focusing more on moving towards what he wants. If he focused on the pain more, he wouldn't do it, you know? And that's the case with a lot of people. Eventually, that anxiety, those negative thought behaviors, those patterns, they get so strong that people just start moving away from it because they want to go back to comfort. You know what I mean? Because they want to move away from that pain. So if it's, we'll use an example, you said cardio. If it's cardio, if it's weight training, if you always have these negative thought patterns, the way you change them is you need to focus on the positive and the focus on moving towards pleasure. So 2 things that probably go through a person's mind when dieting, let's say, is I want to get lean. That's the pleasure. I'll feel good about myself. I'll look good. I could take pictures. I could go to the beach. I could look great for summer. That's the pleasure. The pain that they're moving away from when they start the diet is, oh, I'm hungry. I feel like shit. I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to feel comfortable. I want to move away from this pain. And that's generally what a lot of people focus on more so than the pleasure. But if they think about it, okay, let's change this around now. That hunger that they're thinking, okay, this is bad, I want to get away from it, that's also what that's signaling that they're getting leaner. So if you apply that to the pain, okay, I have hunger pains, good, you know, I'm losing weight, that's a good thing. Yeah, then you're going to start to think about it differently. I always, especially me, I never have a problem dieting because this has always been my mindset. I like feeling hungry. I like feeling a little tired because those are actually direct signals to my body, from my body, that, hey, man, we're in a caloric deficit. We need calories. So when I know I'm in a caloric deficit and need calories, I know I'm going to lose weight. So for me, that's actually positive reinforcement. For a lot of people, it's negative. It's, oh, this is painful. I want it to stop, so I eat. So you have to associate the positive to those pain.
It's funny. One of our online clients was kind of struggling with this too, and I kind of answered them back and told him the same thing. You know, he was complaining about food and that he was hungry, and I don't know if I could do this. And it's just like, well, you can't think of it as you're hungry. You have to think of it as, okay, good, I'm getting results. That's exactly how you got to think of it. And it's like, as soon as you tell someone that, and they're kind of like, oh, yeah, you're right. You know, you're right. I'm making progress. You're right. And I think, again, like what you said, you know, just changing the negative into a positive is going to go way farther than just going with that thought pattern. You have to really learn how to control your mind, because your mind really does control a lot of you. So if you learn to control it, you're going to have such a much more easier time doing whatever task you're doing. And you know, like let's use that example of that guy on Instagram who's outside shoveling with his shirt off right now. You know, if he says to himself, oh, fuck, it's cold, it's cold. But, you know, he's going to be really cold. He's going to be even worse cold. But if he's outside shoveling, he's like, yeah, it's cold, but I'm getting through this. I'm testing myself. This is a test. I'm winning. I'm beating myself. I'm taking myself to a next level. It's like, yeah, you'll be able to get through it with that mentality.
Yeah, and he's going to want to keep doing it. Then he's going to be like, all right, bring it on. Get it colder. He's going to say, fuck it. I'm going to jump in the snow now. Let's see if I can handle that, you know?
Yeah. Well, you just got to hope that guy on Instagram who took his shirt off and did that, he didn't just do that for the picture, and he actually went out there and tested himself.
He probably took it just for the picture.
I wouldn't be surprised, man. He's not well known.
Yeah.
But whatever. All right, so how do you manufacture success then, Pete, through the thought process?
Well, yeah, it is all manufactured through the thought process. Some people have to do it, and some people don't. So it's funny how everything ties in, you know. This is just pretty much the same thing as talent and work ethic, you know, and skill. Talent, some people, you can call it talented. They're naturally talented in being very positive and in manufacturing success. So there's some people that just have a mindset. Like we work with certain clients where when they come to us, they say, listen, whatever you guys tell me to do, I will do, and I will get the results. They never complain. They never question anything. They say, all right, listen, I trust in this process, and it just comes naturally to them. I'll do whatever it takes, and I'll get there. And those are always the clients that achieve the results the fastest, okay? Naturally, they're like that. Not everybody's naturally like that. I'm not naturally like that, which is why I could help you guys with this and tell you what to do. So you have to manufacture that if you don't naturally already have that. So the way to do that, like I said, is basically associating the positive with every single thing it is that you're doing. So if your goal is to lose fat, you have to associate every single thing as being a positive. So, okay, I have to be hungry. Good. That means I'm losing weight. I have to be a little tired. Good. That means my body's running low on energy. That means it's burning through fat. Good. Those are good things. So every time you feel these things, you're reinforcing positive behavior, and your mind has proof that what you're doing is working. So you need to take every single aspect of whatever it is that you're doing and place a positive onto it. So same thing. The weights are heavy. You feel like it's crushing you, but you're getting through it. Good. That means I'm growing. That means I'm stimulating it. You never can attach a negative thought to anything. If you attach positive to everything, and again, nobody's perfect. There's always going to be times where the mind creeps in and tells you negative thoughts. But if you start
why
believing,
does that happen? You know, why does that? Why does everybody get that self-doubt moment? You know, I feel like that happens to me a lot. You know, it's always like one day I could be really, really positive and I really feel like I'm gonna crush it, blah blah blah. I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do. And then some days I'm like, you know, F this, man. I should just stay in bed today. Like, but why? You know, why does that happen?
I think that that's definitely just a biological thing because, you know, the mind is designed to keep you safe, you know? And, you know, we don't live in a time where you're really in any type of real danger, but you're programmed to survive. So that's all your mind wants to do. It doesn't want to do anything it doesn't have to do. So naturally, it wants to keep you pretty lazy once all your biological and physiological needs are met. So like if you have food in your stomach, you know, if you have shelter, your mind's not going to want to do anything else from like a biological standpoint. So you kind of have to force it to do other things. You know, we have different drives, you know, especially guys are very driven by success, by, you know, competition and stuff like that. But in general, once we reach all those needs as like a natural human being's natural needs, your body naturally your mind and body doesn't want to really do much. So it's very easy for your mind to tell you, listen, like there's no reason to do this, you know? But if it's something that you personally want, then you have to turn your mind into your friend. Your mind could be that annoying friend that tells you, listen, you don't need to do this, but you could tell your mind, listen, we need to work together. You're my friend. Let's get this moving, you know?
Yeah. So true, man. You know a lot about this.
Yeah, well, I told you. Well, you told me I'm very cerebral. So, and like I said earlier in this podcast, we've been doing this for so long that you would think even if I didn't try to work on this stuff, it would just come within time. You know, you don't have to focus on this as much as me because I think you're more naturally talented in the mind department with success. I have to manufacture it a bit more than you. Takes a little more work from me. Anthony comes a little more naturally. And actually, true story, just to show the comparison between me and Anthony. Anthony's always in that mindset where, okay, like, we have to get this shit done, you know, when it comes to whatever it is. And I don't know if that's natural, that's something that he's developed over time, but compared to me, he's always a little more on with that. I'm always on and off a little bit, and I get myself in and out of it, but he's always on. Like, he's always the one to say, like, come on, let's get it going, you know?
Yeah, so let's tell them the New York Muscle Radio's Jedi mind trick. So I guess you've been talking a lot, but this is like your area, man. So I'll let you rock, Tony Robbins. So you want to give them the New York Muscle Radio Jedi mind trick?
Man, I feel like I gave away everything I said is basically the New York Muscle Jedi mind trick.
All right, so I'll sum it up. So basically, the New York Muscle Radio Jedi mind trick is basically you're changing those negative beliefs into positive beliefs. So, for example, I don't want to squat today. You find yourself saying that I don't want to squat today. I don't want to squat 400 today. I don't want to squat 500 today. It's changing it into I'm gonna squat 400 today. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this workout. And I know it sounds so simple, but just if you catch yourself, the key is doing this without thinking. So if you catch yourself saying it like, oh, I don't feel like squatting today, you'd be like, wait a minute. No, I want to squat today. I'm going to squat today. Maybe not saying I want to, maybe I'm gonna. Like, meaning you're going to force yourself to do it. But changing that, like I said, it has to be natural. It can't be like, oh, Pete said I have to do this, you have to catch yourself in the moment of feeling the negative behavior and then just switching it.
Right. And the best way I could describe doing that, if I were to give you like a scenario, is like if you walk into a gym and you don't want to get on the squat bar. There's 5 plates on the squat bar and you're like, that's heavy. I don't even know if I can do this. The second that starts happening, you need to change your mindset, because if you're not going to get under the 5 plate and squat it. It's just not going to happen if that's how your mind. So you need to catch yourself first.
Wait, hold on, time out.
Yeah.
I guess this goes back to what we said earlier with making smart and realistic jumps.
Yeah.
So if you've never squatted 500 pounds before and you never even used weights of 400 pounds, it would be dumb to jump into 500. Like for me, I would never put 620 on the bar and go try to move it because I know it just won't go anywhere. Well,
right. Well, yeah, we don't know.
Okay, so if I wouldn't put 700 on the bar.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise that. But like Anthony regularly squats 500 pounds. You know, he's hit it multiple times. But there's days where he goes in and for a second he might feel a little doubt, like, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know. Maybe he never does. But let's just say one day he walks in and he honestly doesn't feel like doing it. He doesn't want to do it. Right there, he knows he has to change his mindset. So how do you do that? You basically have to brainwash your own mind, which you can do. So to give you kind of like a practical way of doing it
feeling
is
sleepy.
Right. So you're thinking it's heavy. You're thinking you don't want to do it. So that's a what the hell is it called? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, basically. So now because you believe it, it's not going to happen.
Easy, Buddha. What the hell does that mean?
You never heard of a self-fulfilling prophecy?
I have, but I don't know the definition.
That just basically means like if you think that something's going to happen, it will because you actually caused it to happen.
Oh, is that like The Secret?
Yeah,
the law of attraction?
No, it's not the law of attraction. Like it's more like if I don't know you and I think that you're going to if someone says to me like go talk to Anthony and ask him this, and I'm like, I think he's a dick. He's going to probably talk to him. He's probably going to act like a dick, and I don't want to talk to him. And I'd say that to myself, and I go over there. I'm like, all right, I'm going to talk to him anyway. I'm going to expect that he's going to talk like a dick, so I might already talk to you in a way where I'm expecting you to be a dick. So if I think you're going to be a dick, I'll walk up to you and I won't talk to you nicely. I'll probably say like, yeah, what's up, man? You know, this guy told me to come talk to you or whatever. And then so you're going to think like, who's this dick? And you'd say like, well, why the fuck did you come over and talk to me? And I'd be like, see, he's a dick. I knew it. But meanwhile, I was the one who caused that because I already thought it was going to happen. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Got it.
But anyway, so with the squat bar, that would be a self-fulfilling prophecy. So now you have to change your mindset. So you have to say, all right, first of all, a good thing to do is just stop thinking about it and just start moving and doing it. Like I said, just go right to the bar, touch it. That's the first thing you got to do. Grab it, get under it. That accomplished. Put it on your back. Don't think too far ahead. Then what's going to happen is as you give your mind that proof, okay, we're doing it. We're okay. We're here. Now your mind's going to say, oh, shit, we can't even think about it anymore. And then what happens is after you do it, now your mind has proof again. Shit, we did it. We're good. Now let's put more weight on the bar. Let's do this. You know what I mean? So you got to think about it like you're not forcing your mind to change, but you're coaxing it would be maybe the right term. You're kind of patting it on the butt, like say, come on, let's move. The same way your friend will tell you, like Anthony will say, come on, Pete, put the fucking weight on the bar. Tap me on the back. You got to think about doing that to your mind till your mind starts doing it back to you. If that makes any sense. I know that sounds a little fucking woo-woo and all this stuff, but trust me, it works. Man. It works. Trust me, guys.
All right, so let's talk about how to stay motivated long-term, and this is going to close out the podcast. So one of the things you have to do when you want to stay motivated long-term is, one, you have to make sure the program you're on, whatever, diet, program, it's enjoyable to you, because it doesn't matter if it's whatever. Let's just say you're on the paleo diet because you heard everyone said the paleo diet was great, but you don't like it. You like flexible dieting instead. So you need to be on a flexible dieting meal plan. You need to do that type of diet because that's something you like. So same thing with your workout program. Let's say you're following one from Muscle and Fitness or just a random one that you made up. If you don't feel confident in that program, you need to switch to something like the New York Strong program or even our free program, the Jacked program, or maybe the ARM program if you want to get your arms built up. Whatever, it doesn't matter. You need to get on something you like, and you need to have confidence in that. You need to say, okay, I know that Anthony grew his arms 1 inch by using the ARM program. I'm going to use that program too, and it's going to work for me. You have to have that positive reinforcement. You have to believe in what you're saying. This is why people hire coaches and trainers for that system of accountability to know that, okay, Pete and Anthony know exactly what they're talking about, and with them, the sky's the limit. And we've seen that time and time and again with our clients. As soon as they come to us, we tweak everything with their programs and their diets and everything, and they just start getting crazy results from it. It's because they have confidence in us too. So you have to have confidence in your program. Again, the other thing to do to stay motivated long term is learning how to listen to your body and, like Pete said, kind of tap your brain on the butt a little bit to say, let's go, and learning how to turn those negative thoughts into a positive. Because that's what's really, if you could turn a negative thought into a positive thought every day, you'll last much longer in your endeavor. Whether that's fitness or whether that's, I don't know, whatever. Money, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's with anything, guys, you know? So it's like the same thing, like I said in the beginning. Even something as simple as getting up the second your alarm clock goes off, you're telling your brain something different than, you know what, I'm going to roll over for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, a minute and rest, or I'm going to hit snooze. There's a big difference between how your mind reacts to you getting up and you hitting the snooze. So, you know, if you, again, positive and negative, you're like, shit, I'm tired. I want to just relax for a few minutes. Negative. Positive, shit, I got stuff to do and I'm going to get a lot of shit done today. If I focus on that, you're going to want to get out of bed. You know what I mean? If you have stuff that you, and that's the same thing with you don't even have to force yourself to do that. If you actually legitimately have something fun to do that day or something you really want to get done and you're tired, you still get up out of the bed with enthusiasm. You're like, time to get up out of bed. If you don't have that stuff, but you want that stuff, if you tell your mind, okay, we're going to get this shit today, you'll want to get up out of bed.
One of the other things I like to do too is, and I guess this is the beauty of having my own gym, but you could use this however you want. I don't know. But having some type of item or some type of external motivating thing to kind of give you that reminder of. So I'll give you an example. So on my desk right now in front of my face, I actually have, and for those of you that are listening to the podcast know that Walt Disney is one of my, I don't want to say heroes, but someone that motivates me because of what he built. And that's something that I kind of want to accomplish too. So I actually, one day I was like helping my daughter clean up her room or whatever, and I actually saw like a little Mickey figurine. So I kind of picked it up and I put it on my desk, and I'm looking at it right now. And every time I put it on my desk on purpose, because every time I'm recording a podcast or I'm doing work on the computer, I just happen to look up and there's Mickey looking at me, and it's like, this is why I'm doing this. So like it's kind of like a reinforcement. So again, in the gym, I have pictures of Arnold up in the gym because that's my reinforcement. Whenever I see a picture of Arnold, I'm like, okay, I want to get that. I have to. Every time I do a set like that, I'm one step closer. So you got to find and drill that motivation to you. So I don't know, maybe it's just putting a picture of Arnold in your wallet. I don't know, whatever it would be. Something that reminds you when you see this thing, it's like, okay, this is my trigger item. This is what's going to get me. Like I said, I put the little Mickey figurine on my desk, and that's what reminds me. That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree 100%. There's not really much I could add to that. And, you know, the one thing I will say, though, is that the reason that those are so good is because your mind is always changing. Your moods are always changing. And, again, sometimes it just comes down to whatever mood you're in, you know. And if you have something that will remind you of the mood that you should be in, something like, you should be motivated if you want to reach your goals, and you have something that reminds you of when you're motivated. You know, when I look at my bodybuilding trophies and stuff like that, like it reminds me of how motivated I was when I was chasing after those trophies. So, you know, if I don't feel motivated and I kind of look at those, I say, wow, look at the way I feel right now and look at the way I used to feel, and that's how I accomplished those trophies. Is the mindset I have right now
do you want to bring your trophies to my gym to remind yourself?
No, because, you know, I don't care about that stuff anymore now. Like, I don't need to motivate myself to get in contest shape or anything like that. Like, there's other reasons I'm motivated in life for fitness goals.
All right, guys. Well, that was today's episode. I think we really cleared this out for you guys so you guys can understand that, again, it's okay to feel negative behaviors, but as long as you acknowledge the negative feelings and emotions or whatever, and you just change your mental state, you're going to go way further with this. All right, big guy. I believe it's your turn.
Pete and Anthony, New York Muscle Radio, and we're out.
Enjoyed this episode of New York Muscle Radio? Make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave us a 5-star review, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, New York Muscle Radio.